Pulled beef, fantastic recipe. I mean, I love pulled pork, but pulled beef, that does something actually. It's fantastic. The way we're going to do it today, we're actually going to combine two cooking methods because we are going to smoke it first, and then we're going to finish it in a Dutch oven in our oven. You can go all the way in the Dutch oven. I'll explain that later if you don't have a smoker, but we are going to take the time to put some good smoke flavor on this one. This is 3.5 kilos or almost 8 pounds of beef chuck, Black Angus chuck. It's a nice piece, but as you can see, there are quite some hard fat in the middle here. And if you were doing something else, you would trim all this out, but then I have to cut it in pieces. And then it doesn't cook evenly. I want it to cook as a whole piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it, because once we pull the beef, those chunks of fat, they're easy to separate at that point in time. Otherwise, you have to chop this up with a knife and tie it up with butcher's twine. So we're not going to do that. We're going to move on with our spice rub. And for that, I'm going to use a plastic cup today because I can't find my spice mixer. So that's a little bit, so
that's okay.
You improvise if you have to. We're going to do it pretty simple on the rub for the smoke because the chilies are coming later, which we will show you. But here we have, how much was it now? We want
50 grams
yes,
of salt.
You want 2% of salt to your meat weight, but dial it down a little bit. That would be 70 grams. So we dial it down to 50 because you can always add a bit of salt when you mix this up later, but you can't take salt out again. So 50 grams of salt. And then we have 0.5% of garlic powder.
That was like 16 grams.
16 grams, exactly. And then we have 0.25% of cumin, which is 8 grams of cumin.
And the same.
Same for paprika. This is actually a mixture of smoked and regular paprika. So, and then we have black pepper, freshly ground. I just did it in my coffee grinder because it takes forever if you do it with a pepper mill. And that's the basic spice rub. And actually, this is also your basic ingredients if you were making sausage. The analogy goes the same way. On with the lid. And then we shake it up so we get a good, nice, even mixture like that. That's why I'm missing my spice grinder, but it disappeared. And then we just get this on liberally. And that's why I have a round big pot here, because whatever falls off, I'm gonna mop it up with the meat. If you don't like touching meat, use nitrile gloves, but I don't mind. So. But you see, when you do it like this and get everything nice and coated, you see everything that falls down here, that is not gonna go to waste. And if there is any crevices, get it in there. And then we're gonna use the meat to go around, get it in the middle. And then we're simply gonna continue rolling this and mop up all the spices so they stick nicely to the surface. See how nice it's coated already? Mm-hmm. It's looking good. It's gonna be a nice one. And I think that's about how much I can mop up. It's not absorbing anymore, so that's about it. Doesn't that look pretty?
Very.
I can see how enthusiastic you are about this.
I am.
Pulled beef is nice. But anyway, we want to let this sweat a little bit so the salt drags out a bit of moisture, so the rub that sits well. So let it 15-20, and then we'll see you at the smoker. Here we are, and we are using our Green Mountain Grill pellet smoker today. We could have done it on our Pro Q or our Kamado Joe, but this is convenient. In the hopper, we have hickory pellets to get some heavy smoke flavor. And I'm running at 130, which is a little bit warmer than you normally would do for low and slow, where you would be at 120. So instead of 250, we're at 270 Fahrenheit, something like that. And I have, as always, drip trays under the grill grates here because I don't want to deal with the mess of cleaning up my grill all the time with fat running out. This is so convenient, so trick there, do that. I know my grill, it runs around here on the set temperature. It's a little bit warmer down in this end and up here a little bit cooler. So we are just gonna set this nicely right here where I know what my temperature is. I'm not putting a temperature probe because we're gonna give this, let's say 3 hours of smoke, and then we're gonna cook it differently afterwards, as I told you. So just let it rest there for a couple of hours and then we will check in on it together. And now for our steeping liquid or our stew liquid, whatever you want to call it. We're going to use some chilies, and I wrote it down so I don't forget what I have taken out of my vacuum bags. I have some pasilla, I have pasilla, chipotle, mulato, and guajillo peppers. So all of the peppers that we are using here, they're not very spicy. The chipotle is a little bit, but I only have a few because we are making this a little bit family friendly. If you want this to be very spicy, add some chile de árbol or even more chipotle. Exactly. So what we want to do here and what you want to know about chilies, dried chilies, they have to be like this, pliable, like leather. If they crack, then the essential oils are gone and they are off. Pair of scissors here, and then we just open them up because we want to get out as much of the seeds as we can because they get bitter. And we just rip it open because it doesn't really matter. We just want it in reasonable sized pieces. If there is a leftover or two, it doesn't matter, but get most of it out. And then we rip them up, put them in a pot because we want to rehydrate them. So let me empty all of these and then I'll show you how the process goes. And now we have all of them in our pot, and then we're going to add some of our homemade beef stock. Fantastic product, link down below. You have to make this. We are not going to give it all of it, I think, because we want to blend this into a chili paste. So I'm saying we'll give it all because I want it to be covered. As you can see, I want them to be covered here. Push them down a little bit, like that. And then we're going to fire this up and bring it to a simmer. But before we do that, remember this one? Yeah. See, we are not going to throw any of this away. We are going to take all this with us into the pot because we have already measured out the level of spices we wanted. So we want this to be here to join the beef in a bit. That's it. And then, as said, we bring it to a simmer, we put a lid, we switch it off, and we let it steep for 15-20 minutes until the chilies are really soft, but don't boil it. Simmer, switch off, steep. We left it actually half an hour, but that doesn't matter. You can always let it go a bit longer. But what's important is when you feel them with your spoon that they are soft and pliable and like really well hydrated. That's what we're looking for. So now we want to take this to our blender. See if I can avoid making a mess. That's difficult.
That's very aromatic.
Yeah, it smells good. It smells very good, actually.
Yeah.
These chilies that we have chosen, they are on the fruitier side, and then a little bit of smoke from the chipotle. And that's deliberate, as I said. We are making this a little bit family friendly this time. I would probably make it more spicy if I didn't have to consider anybody but myself, but that's not the case.
You can eat 3.5 kilos of pulled beef.
Oh, trust me, I can. That I can. Well, and this is simple. On with the lid. Keep your hands on and just blend it till it's smooth. And that's about it. Let's get the lid off because now we want to do a little bit of a taste test here. This is smooth and nice and it looks good, but I want to taste it just to see where we are and what my family they're going to say. Ooh, that's nice. Nice and aromatic.
Smoky.
Nice chili. And it's a little bit of a kick, but once that's mixed with the beef, that will go easy even for the kids. So all we have to do now is wait for our beef. 3 hours in, let's take a peek. And that is just beautiful. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Nice smoke color. I don't care about the temperature, internal temperature right now because I know it's not done. But I got the smoke color I want, so now let's get this out. And by the way, remember this, insulation gloves, nitrile gloves. Because, there we go. Let's just look at the smoke color you got. Look there, look, the smoke color you got. That's perfect. So, the rest of this happens on the inside. That thing smells amazing. I mean, this is like, wow, this is gonna be so good. Trust me.
The party is gonna be very successful.
Yes. We could have smoked this longer, but I don't find it necessary. Plus, I want to get the benefit of 2 cooking methods. If you only have a Dutch oven and an indoor oven, then what you can do is add a bit of liquid smoke. That would get
instead
you,
of the smoking part.
but it won't get you that bark that when you
The crispy.
when you pull it, then it becomes that small crispy one. Very good. But for our braising, obviously we are going in with our chili paste and scrape out as much as you can because you don't want to lose any of the good stuff. This is pure goodness. We have to add some more liquid. But we are going in with a beer, and I might actually have to add one more. I'm not sure about that yet, but let's see. Because we don't want it submerged. We just want to have liquid in the bottom here to steam it up inside the Dutch oven and create the sauce that we need to make the pulled pork juicy. And one of the reasons I didn't pull it out before is because I don't want to start rendering out fat. I want the fat to render out right here because that's where the flavor is going to come from. In a split of a second, I took a decision that I'm going to add some achiote paste.
You had an epiphany.
Yeah, I had an epiphany, but because I love this shit, and we used it in what was it?
Tacos al pastor.
Tacos al pastor. It's a fantastic product. It not only does it give nice color, but it's a nice combination of spices that matches nice here. So I'm going to go in with, let's call it half a block of this. I don't want all of it because that becomes too much on the other hand. I'm just going to, ooh, that smells good. It's a lot of good flavors here today.
What does that consist of? Is it also peppers?
Cumin, garlic, annatto seeds. So it's like
a mixture.
Yeah, a mixture of things, and it gives nice red color because of the annatto. But you want to dissolve it a little bit, so give it a little bit of a whisk here. I mean, it will dissolve when it's cooking, but just to break it up a little bit, it dissolves pretty easy. Just like this. We might, in the middle of the process, add a little bit more liquid to this. We will see as we get along, because now it will go in the oven, but that thing is still warm. So again, with your insulation gloves, this is a thing you need in your barbecue kitchen, and they help a lot. Which is also what we're going to do when we're going to pull the beef later.
Protective gear.
Protective gear, yeah. Now we're going to take our nice little nestle it in here and listen to the bark. Then it's on with the lid. And then I have the oven running on convection on 150 degrees, because now you have it in here, you can crank up the temperature a little bit to shorten down somewhat the cooking time. Let me just prepare this, because this Dutch oven weighs a literal ton. So it's pretty heavy to get in there. And in she goes. And now we're gonna let it go here couple of hours before we check into it, because it needs a lot more cooking. And then we'll start looking for temperature. 3 hours and a bit. So let's see how it's doing. It smells fantastic. And it's gonna smell even better in a second. Once I get this heavy boy out of here. Let me just close behind me. And then let it steam out, because, ooh, smell that.
I do.
That's just good. And look at that nice.
Oh la la.
Let's see where we are. I'm actually not very concerned about temperature, to be honest, but let me give it a check anyway. This is just perfect. Yeah, we are hovering up there in the mid-90s Celsius, which is, but it's like...
That's butter.
That's exactly what you're looking for. That's the feeling you want. That's perfect. Now we're going to let that cool down a little bit before we pull it, because right now it's steaming hot. Here we are, moment of truth. Let's see how we did on this. Wow, it fell apart.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Ooh, even with insulation gloves, this is still warm. Maybe I should let it cool off a little bit more, but okay. But look here.
Oh la la.
Look.
Yeah, that's...
And look, the smoke ring we got on this. This is just fantastic. I mean, look how it falls apart. That is pulled beef and it's super juicy. Wow. So let me break all of this up. And now you can also see, I will show you actually, because you can see the connective tissue here. But we will throw that away as I talked to you from the beginning. So let me shred this off and I'll see you in 5. And there it is, final product. Obviously you would normally serve this in a sandwich, but right now it's about the pulled beef and only the pulled beef. So sandwich will be tomorrow. But now I want to taste this. And by the way, as you see the limes, if you want to brighten it up a little bit because it is dark, you can add some lime juice. But
it does a trick.
I have to go again. You see how juicy that is? That is just perfection in pulled beef. Excellent. Black Angus chuck, nice chili blend, not too spicy, juicy as hell. I can only recommend this.